Итак, снова подытоживаем. Структура самосознания состоит из динамики
So, let's summarize.
конфигураций
Self-consciousness organization comprises dynamics of stereotypes configurations. They structure the Skrullert system.
которая структурирует временную эфир-динамику временной
It structures the temporal ethereal constituent. In its turn, the latter structures the dynamics of our focuses of close attention and factor axis of the primary time axis with assistance of focuses of dual reflection. It all unites into what I call the personal self-consciousness in the current specific time moment. The notion of focus of dual reflection has just sounded. What kind of dynamics is it? Many of you imagine pharmacopies like any persons who live somewhere, do something. And always try to interfere with your self-consciousness in order to impose some forms of realization on you. I had also suggested it in the same way for some time, until I started to study thoroughly the phenomena of pharmacopies, wu forms, during writing the books of Immortality is Accessible to Everyone. I had to try to divide information into some components, to divide the wu form into pharmacopies and images, which structure sphurum forms, conceptions of the pharmacopies. That's not at all, as you imagine. Either wu copy exists in its own individual world in holograph system and has no idea about that somewhere any Nicholas, Eugene or Valentine lives. They use information of its experiences to make their own choices. Meaning, everything that exists is personified to the most extent. All exists in holograph system as separate worlds if expressing it in visual images. Everything that is happening here now is differentiated in holograph system into a multitude of various perception levels. The hall where we are sitting also exists on various perception levels, because all of you perceived it visually, drew your attention to some details and the general plan of this hall. And each of you perceives all that I am telling now about in the very narrow diapason. By your own pharmacopies. But since each of you is conglomerates of pharmacopies, or is the dynamics of energy informational exchange among the multitude of focuses of dual reflection, so you choose only what is supposed to be the most authentic from all the information spoken by me. But given the energies which either of you is generating in the moment of psychic activity, I see how differently you perceive all that I am speaking of. If I started to talk to everyone individually, it would turn that everyone imagines what I've just said in a totally different way.
Это связано с тем, что каждый из
It
нас
relates to the fact that either of you focuses on the configuration,
возможности,
whose
которые
capabilities are limited by the definite diapason
творческого манипулирования.
of creative manipulation of any energy plasma levels.
И каждая из
And each pharmacopy, which you use every moment in your life, lives by its own experiences.
ни одна из них,
Neither of them knows about someone who used it somewhere,
те, кто ее использует. Но в каждый момент
but every moment of its self-recognition,
самоосознавания ее
its conceptions about itself form only in the very narrow diapason of energy plasma,
энергоплазмой. Только в очень
in the very narrow diapason of self-perception, starting from the most negative and finishing with the most positive and high-frequency conceptions.
И все, что происходит,
Everything that occurs in so-called realizational niche, that is in the world of ODS, Olak-Droton system,
происходит
occurs only for the single pharmacopy.
на базе чего?
What is the basis for the occurrence?
На базе той информации, переживаний, того опыта, который
It is the information, experiences, or the common experience, which is loaded continuously in one and the same instant into the niche,
в данную нишу, в данную конфигурацию, в данную
into the current conglomerate of configurations from personalities of diverse time flows,
из множества временных потоков, от личностей, находящихся в разных временных потоках. К примеру, вот нас 7 миллиардов.
There are 7 billion people, and this moment a billion people is present on some definite self-perception level.
Существует миллион людей. В этот момент. И через,
At this moment, a year ago, and 100 years ago,
через 100 лет. И год назад, и 100 лет назад. Из всего общего числа людей
out of a total number of people there is an amount of those who perceive themselves with very similar conceptions and configurations.
представлениях, в одних конфигурациях. Но благодаря разности информации,
For example, how can my feelings towards you be described?
мое чувство к вам сейчас. Разве его
Is it possible to do it anyhow? No, it is the definite configuration that is being generated in my self-consciousness now,
сейчас генерируется в моем
in my
самосознании,
perception of myself and of the world around me. It embraces both you, sitting here, and people who are doing shopping, driving cars, whatever right now.
ездят в автомобилях, еще где-то. И вот это вот состояние,
This
вот
state,
этот тип
this type of
вибраций
vibrations, is inherent not only to me at this
в
moment,
настоящий момент. Не только для меня одного. А для кого-то
but to someone living in Africa, or Thailand, or Siberia, Japan, China. All of those people have different conceptions about the world,
разные представления о мире, но
but they are generating exactly this feeling, this experience.
ситуации вот именно вот это чувство, это переживание. Это переживание не
This
просто
experience is not just,
так, как я говорю,
ah,
и все.
and that's all. No, this experience is structured with information,
То есть моим
meaning with
пониманием,
my conceptions, the comprehension. Either of you is a part of me,
меня, а я часть ваша,
and me is a part of you.
всех ваших
All of
мыслей,
your
чувств
thoughts,
и
feelings,
так
and so
далее.
on.
Моими представлениями, а эти представления,
In
в
their
свою
turn,
очередь,
these
базируются
conceptions are based on my deep knowledge of various spheres of my life creation.
в других сферах жизненного творчества.
All which is modulating this experience in me now includes holographically all the basis of information which has been resulting in this particular dynamics inside my self-consciousness. And that very narrow diapason of sensitivity is inherent to some groups of realizational niches. Some conglomerates of pharmacopies, which I use, we won't talk about the level of synthesis, and Iissiidiology centers in my self-consciousness where it all occurs. If I am experiencing it now, so I am applying it. The same was experienced by some people 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years forward, 100,000 years forward, and million years forward. Don't think that after a million years in future there won't be such scenarios. All of them will be present. Opportunities for development on every level remain eternally, as in the highest potential, as in the middle potential, as in the lowest potential, because it all is holograph system. It all is kept in holograph system and is generated from it continually. Then, it all interferes with dynamics of already prepared conceptions. In each of the latter, the crystallization and materialization of the surrounding world proceeds in every diapason. All already exists. All the prepared clichés are provided. Why do I feel that? Why have I an opportunity to feel that? Because some pharmacopies from holograph systems have the focus of dual reflection. By means of the focus of dual reflection, pharmacopies project themselves to the surrounding world.